Hello, this is Daniel, owner of ManyBidets.com. Today we're going to talk about the controls for bidet seats. They might be remotes, they might be side controls, or you might be looking at a non-electric. One of the things that people frequently say when they're looking for a bidet is, I want a side control. And when I ask them why, they often say, I don't want to lose the remote. I don't want my kids to drop it in the toilet. And so a side control, we're safe from that. The term remote control is a little bit misleading. And so we're going to take a look at some remotes today to kind of show you why. So remote controls actually come with wall mounts. So here's a remote control for the Toto S550E. Now, obviously I can hold it in my hand. I'm going to take it off of the wall mount to put the batteries in, but here's the wall mount and how it connects to the wall through screws here and here. That remote slides in. It's held in by these clips. It's also magnetic down here on the bottom. And it's even got a screw hole down here on the bottom. So you can screw this remote into the wall mount and keep it in place so that unless you have a screwdriver, you can't take the remote off. Basic functions on this particular remote would be on the front, so you can see them when it's in the wall mount. And then more complicated functions would be on the back. So you configure the seat the way that you want it, slide it into the wall mount, and your guests, your kids, no one even needs to know that it comes out of this wall mount. It just sits wherever it's convenient and is operated from the wall. All of the remotes of bidet seats that we sell, integrated units that we sell, washlet plus units that we sell, they all come with wall mounts. So in any of these scenarios, you don't have to worry about losing or dropping the remote. Now, let's take a quick look at the Swash 1400 remote. This remote only connects via magnet. Makes it very handy if you do need to take it out. Let's say that you're dealing with a special needs situation where maybe you're operating the remote for a loved one. Being able to just pull the remote away from the wall mount instead of having to slide it out might be convenient. But there's also the downside of a kid can take it out of the wall mount or knock it and it falls out of the wall mount. Here are some other remotes with wall mounts. We're just going to take a real quick look at them so you can get a feel for them. We've talked about the Toto S550E. We've talked about the Brondell Swash 1400. The Swash 1000, very similar wall mount system. The Novita has kind of a clip situation here. Some buttons on the top of the remote. So also pretty sturdy. It's not going to come loose. When you touch the remote, you're going to feel that it could come out of the wall mount. So if you want the illusion that it's affixed to the wall, that's probably not the remote for you. Brondell remotes probably aren't the remote for you. But if you want it easily removable, those are great options. Let's take a look at the Bidet BB2000 remote. This is via a slide-in wall mount. This also has a self-adhesive on the back. A lot of the wall mount remotes have wall mounts where there's a self-adhesive and also screw holes. So if you want to attach it to, say, tile or a cabinet and you don't want to screw into those items or those objects, you can simply adhere it to those objects via the self-adhesive. And we tend to find that that works very well. Here's the Cascade 3000 remote. It's another slide-in remote. Screw holes to screw it into a wall or self-adhesive like we talked about. This is a panel style remote, a little bit less common of a style. We'll talk more about this later on in the video, but it looks more like a control panel and often gives even more of an illusion of a remote that is not a remote but actually physically affixed to the wall. The Cascade does come with a couple of different styles of remote, so here's another one. But kind of similar to the BB2000 in the way that this one slides in and out. And you can just kind of see how that works. Again, screws are self-adhesive on the back. The last one we have up here is the remote for the Toto S350E, which is the predecessor to the S550E, which we looked at first. And this one is magnetic. It has little clips, I don't know if you can see those in the video here, little clips that help it hold in place aside from the magnetic aspect. And then it's got a screw hole in the bottom, just like the newer version. And that will keep it in place, you know, if needed. So that's kind of what you're looking at here. Similar to the S550 remote, there's a screen on the back with options to customize, and then on the front are your more basic options. So in short, when you're talking about remotes or side control, don't let the concern of losing the remote or dropping the remote keep you away from the remote control for a bidet seat. Remotes are great because there's no twisting and turning and looking down to find the options you're looking for. You just turn your head a little bit and press the buttons that you want. For that reason, remote control bidets tend to be the most popular version of bidets that we have in our store. So just keep this in mind when you're doing your bidet seat shopping. Remote controls mount to the wall. Side controls are good as well, but it does require some leaning and turning to kind of see what you're operating, which tends to be why the remote controls are the preferred method. There are still reasons why you might want a side control. Maybe your bathroom is really, really small and you're afraid that you're going to have issues with the signal from the remote making it to the bidet seat, as an example. In a scenario where a side control is still the direction that you want to go, what does a side control look like? What concerns do you have to take into account when it comes to a side control? Well, let's go ahead and start by taking a look at what a side control looks like. This is the BioBidet A7, and you can see the side control on this. That's a pretty average size for a side control. And we can see that there are a variety of different buttons on that side control. We can see the stop button is very prominent. Decent layout there on that side control. What are the concerns? Well, we've talked about the fact that if we're sitting on this side control is over on our right. We do have to sit and turn and press whatever buttons we want. Now, as time goes on, we're going to start to get comfortable with where those buttons are. So maybe there's less twisting and turning. There's still reaching and pushing, but there's less twisting and turning. The other things to keep in mind about side control is if you have a lot of guys in the family and there's urine splatter, this side control sits right next to the seat. So we often get people complaining that this side control gets some urine splatter on it. Clean it regularly, no big deal, but it is something you don't run into with a wireless remote or a wall-mounted remote, as we now know. The other concern if you have little kids is if a little kid is getting off of the potty and they press down on this side control to get up, over time that can cause cracking in the side control. So those are a couple of problems that we often see with side controls. Not that side control might not be the right option for you, but it's something to keep in mind. So we've talked about the wireless remotes, wall-mounted remotes. We've talked about the side control bidets. Both of these are electric options. Let's talk a little bit about the other side of the bidet seat world. We often get questions about battery-operated bidets. Is there a battery-operated bidet that will heat my water, that will run an air dryer, all of these sorts of features that you get with an electric bidet? The reason people ask, well, they don't have an outlet near the toilet. So a battery-operated would be fantastic. Unfortunately, the electric pole that is required to operate one of these bidet seats is higher than a standard battery can support. So because of that, currently there are no bidet seats, at least that we're aware of, but we've been in the market for a long time, that operate warming the water, dryer, etc. off of a battery. It's also important to note practically any electric seat is going to heat the water. We often get questions, how do I get hot water to my bidet seat? Well, if you're getting an electric seat, you don't have to. So that's just one other little thing I'd like to bring up. Definitely a perk for going the electric route. Now, if you decide to go with the non-electric route because battery operated bidets don't exist and the non-electrics are the only ones that you can use because you don't have an outlet nearby, there are a few different options. An option like this is super slick, super classy. All that you need to do is connect the water supply and operate front and rear wash using this little lever. The beautiful thing about a seat like this is a seat by American Standard, by the way. It is on our website, and we'll include a link for all of these products in our video description so that you can follow along. But the beautiful thing about this is, unlike electric bidet seats, this practically looks like a standard toilet seat. And the reason for that is because all that needs to be stored in this seat are those two little nozzles. There's no electronics to heat the water. There's no air dryer built into it. So it's super slim. And if you're in a position where you feel awkward about maybe having a bidet seat installed, or you want to start with a bidet seat that's super inexpensive to get a feel for it, this is a fantastic option. Most of your guests won't even notice this little lever, and they'll sit down, use the bathroom as normal, and then go about their day, and you still have a bidet seat. So that's pretty cool. There are also attachments. So attachments, everything we've talked about thus far, takes the place of your existing toilet seat. Attachments sit between your existing toilet seat and the toilet bowl. So there's two round plastic pieces that fit into these holes that kind of give you the ability to adjust. And then there's two nozzles that come out down here. They're spring loaded, so when water pressure goes through them, they come down. And when water pressure is relieved, they go up automatically. This would sit, pretend you're facing the toilet. This would sit like this. You'd take your existing toilet seat off, put this down, put your existing toilet seat back on, put the bolts through your existing toilet seat through this, and then into the toilet bowl. And when you turn your lever here, the nozzle would come out and spray. A unit like this has cold and hot, so you do get that benefit. You also have your feminine or front wash and your rear wash. Kind of similar to what we saw here with the front and the rear. One direction does one, the other does the other. The difference here is that because it offers cold and hot, you have two water connections. So you have a cold and a hot, because unlike an electric bidet seat, this doesn't heat the water. So cold is easy. You connect it from the water supply that leads to your toilet. Hot, you have to find somewhere to connect it. 9 times out of 10, that's going to be your sink's hot water line. But getting a line to your sink's hot water line might be a little bit tricky, so it may or may not be something you want to go with. That being said, this is the attachment that I'm showing you that offers hot water. There are many that also offer cold water only. So don't feel like just because you're getting an attachment, you have to get one that offers hot water and have to run a hot water line. One other nice thing I guess I should point out about this, very, very large knobs, fairly easy to use. So it's a pretty straightforward, easy unit to use. Plastic units like this tend to be very inexpensive. They also tend to be pretty easy to use. But they also tend to break down more because they're plastic. They're less high quality because they're less expensive, and in order to sell them at a lower cost, they need to be less high quality. So tend to break down a little bit more than the others we've talked about thus far, but still a great option if you're looking to just get into the market at the lowest cost possible. Now let's talk about my current favorite bidet attachment. That would be the Go Bidet. Unlike the other bidet attachments currently on the market, the Go Bidet is completely metal. So we can see here this metal arm is going to sit between the toilet bowl and the toilet seat, kind of similar to how these sat between the toilet bowl and the toilet seat. And this also gives it enough room to sit on hard to fit toilets. So if you're dealing with a toilet with a French curve, as an example, this arm, if we were to take a look at this one again, this arm would get in the way of a French curve. And we'll talk more about French curves in our other video, so check that out in the description. But this arm gives you the ability to kind of move and play with where the control sits so that a French curve is doable. When this is attached between the toilet seat and the toilet bowl, this piece then loops over the toilet bowl, giving you your nozzle inside of that toilet bowl. This lever here moves the nozzle in and out, giving you your positioning. So this nozzle is a little bit different than other bidet attachments on the market in that it hides under the toilet bowl rim to keep it clean instead of hiding in the back of the toilet. And then up here we have our pressure adjustment as well as our cold versus hot adjustment. This Go Bidet comes with either a cold setting or a cold hot adjustable setting. So it comes in a couple of different varieties. But you have your pressure adjustment and then your cold and your hot. The other thing I love about this particular attachment is that it comes with a lifetime warranty. We sell a decent number of these, and this is the only product we sell that to date we have not had a warranty claim on. So despite the fact that it's the only product that offers a lifetime warranty, which makes you think you'd probably get more warranty claims on it, we've never had one. So it's a very high quality unit, and it's something I highly recommend if you're looking to go the bidet attachment route. Something like this will last you a few years. It's less expensive than the Go Bidet, but in the long run, you're going to save money going the Go Bidet route because it's going to last forever. One more type of bidet to talk about, and that is the handheld bidet. So obviously all bidets need hoses to connect to water, but we've connected the hose to this handheld to show you that it's a handheld. So it would sit in a little holder connected to the toilet tank or to the wall, and then you would take it out, press the button to start the wash. So that's off, on. You press the button. So you would press to start the wash, and you're going to reach behind yourself and run the wash, or reach in front and run the wash. We sell fewer of these than we do of the other styles, and the reason for that is that the ease of use just isn't there. It gets the job done. It's nice because you can get the positioning exactly where you want it, but ease of use, not so much. So we do sell some of these. They do exist. They are a thing. We don't sell that many of them. Some examples of people who may have bought multiple of these from us are maybe a growing family with cloth diapers. Great to attach to your toilet. You press the button, you rinse out the cloth diaper into the toilet, you put it in the wash. So that's a common use. If you're dealing with someone who is disabled and is just maybe also has explosive diarrhea, and a bidet seat helps, but it just doesn't quite get the job done. This gives you the ability to move wherever you need to move to help get that person clean. So there are times where a shower bidet is essential, but it is a less popular option because a lot of people purchasing bidets are purchasing them in scenarios where another variety of bidet is just more efficient, easier to use, and less hassle. It is important to note any of these bidets that we've talked about connects to the water supply that leads from the toilet. So it connects just using a standard T connection. That being said, you could technically run a couple of T connectors paired on top of one another, have a bidet seat, and also have a handheld. So if you're dealing with a scenario let's say where you do have a special needs, and most of the time that special needs individual gets clean enough without a handheld, you could still have the handheld there in case that ended up being something that was beneficial. So while the video you're watching currently is about bidet seats in general and the controls used, we have a variety of different videos. We talk about troubleshooting. What happens if your bidet stops spraying water? What happens if you experience a leak? We have install videos, how to do it correctly, and how to get it done in the shortest amount of time without making mistakes. We have videos that talk about the different features on bidet seats. Which bidet is the perfect bidet for you? It really depends on the feature set that the bidet offers, the quality of build of the bidet, the pressure of the bidet, the flow of the bidet. There's a lot of different aspects. That being said, you won't know when we've come out with a video that could be beneficial to you if you don't subscribe to our channel. So please take a moment, click that subscribe button, and join us on this bidet adventure and get help down the road when you need it as well. We don't know what videos you need unless you tell us. So feel free to comment down below. Tell us what you liked about this video. Tell us what you didn't like. Tell us what questions this video brought up. Share your feedback so that we can provide more videos that will be helpful to you in this bidet journey. While YouTube is a great platform, we can't create videos instantly if you have a question. So if you have a more pressing issue, visit our site at manybidets.com, and from there, either live chat with us, shoot us an email, fill out a contact form, or you can also call or text us as well. Our contact information is in the video description, and of course, live chat on our website is a great way to get a hold of us in real time. Most days during business hours, we have one or multiple individuals on live chat to assist you with all of your questions.